guys, it's Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. So for tonight's video, we are going to be reading some more scary stories. So again, this look is just a really simple eye look. I didn't film it on TikTok or anything. I just wanted to throw on some quick eyeliner. I wanted to wear my cute earrings from Love Kills Boutique, and I just wanted to come on here and share some stories with you guys because my Instagram has been blowing up lately with your guys' stories, and I'm so excited to read some of them because some of them are absolutely insane and very fucking scary. As per usual, I have my wicked candle in here. I actually have another candle in here that I wanted to show you guys. It is from the Etsy brand Clove and Quartz. I believe it was Etsy I got this off of. I'll link them in the description box down below, but this is from the brand Clove and Quartz. Oh, I actually found them on TikTok, which is wild. This is the Dark Magic Chai, Coffee, Cinnamon, and Smoky Quartz Crystal Infused Vegan Soy Candle. And if you guys like crystals or anything, you'll absolutely love this brand because look at this candle. It is so fucking pretty. It has that quartz just like sitting in it, and I'm so excited to burn this candle and light it. And it smells like chai. Like, it smells like a coffee shop. It smells so good. So I've been sitting on this candle for a couple of months now. Actually, they have bath bombs and stuff too. I was curious if you guys would be interested in me doing like an unboxing style video or like a review. I could even do like a review on Instagram Reels on this brand. If you guys would be interested, let me know in the comments down below and I will definitely do that. But this is the Clove and Quartz brand and I'm super excited to light this candle. So I just wanted to show you guys that candle because I'm super excited to use it. And then of course my wicked candle that is always in here just for good luck, and it's so cute. Caramel apples, can't go wrong. So excuse the cars, excuse my loud house, and hopefully my boyfriend isn't slamming things around like he was in the last video. He was like working out downstairs and I showed him the footage back and I was like, I could literally hear you 2 stories up. Also, you hear dogs barking. My dogs are being rambunctious today. So let's just jump on into the spooky stories. All right, so the first story is from a Reddit user. I don't know if they want me to say their username because they're also somebody that messaged me on Instagram. So I'm just going to keep their whole story just private and anonymous, but they sent it to me over Instagram. They tried to email me a couple times and it just wouldn't go through. The email was not working. So this is from Reddit and the title of this story is "Playing with the Ouija board is no joke and I'll never do it again after that night." I'm a terrible writer, so here goes nothing, but this actually happened to me. This happened when I was 11, almost 12. My friend Clara, who is also 12, lived in the same neighborhood. So we became very close, and on occasion, her parents would have her babysit her 2 little sisters, and they would be gone for a few hours. One night, I was over at Clara's house, helping her babysit. We were having a good time, but because we were bored of being on the computer, we started roaming around her house. We had told her 2 little sisters that we were just gonna go into her room for a little while, but they were busy playing a video game in their room, so they didn't really care what we were doing. So we go to her room, which is like the typical 10 by 10 room, and she had her room decked out in like antique type decor. Stuff passed down to her from relatives, and they had all types of really cool stuff like that throughout their house. Clara had one of those glow-in-the-dark Ouija boards you could get at Spencer's Gifts. After about 30 minutes of literally Clara begging me, she finally convinced me to sit down with her in her room, in the dark, and play the Ouija board. I told her before we even started to play to please do not ask anything stupid, because I was already pretty scared of these things. But she assured me she wouldn't, and we proceeded to play. She lit a few candles that she had on her dresser, placed the board on the floor, and turned the lights off. We were on our stomachs with our elbows propped up as we began to ask the usual questions. Is there any spirits here that would like to communicate? And we got nothing. We asked again, is there any spirits here who want to make their presence known? And very, very slowly, it slid over to yes. Clara asked, how many people are here? The board went to the number 3. We sort of laughed, and she told me that she thinks the board is counting itself. It then slid to yes. She then asked a question I never anticipated. Can you show me hell? Right then, it started doing figure 8s on the board over and over until it darted to each corner of the board. I screamed at her and said, what the fuck? And all of a sudden, we felt glued to the floor. From the neck down, we couldn't move anything but our heads. We instantly felt something very, very dark. We heard a reply that appeared to be coming from her closet. As the door of her closet slid open, we saw the most horrifying, demonic being with yellow and black eyes peer at us, and he said in the most demonic growl, I can show you hell. Do you want to see? It literally was like a huge black mass in the form of a very buff, very large guy with blue and black for a face and a cat-like yellow and black eyes. Those eyes we were just frozen in place. At that point, I just started praying in my head for God and all of his angels to please save us. I was absolutely terrified. I looked over at my friend Clara and asked her if she could move at all, and I'm not sure if we were just frozen in fear or actually stuck to the floor, but it felt like it lasted for an eternity. I just kept praying. I told Clara to pray, and her being a Buddhist, she was chanting to herself, and I continued just to ask for God for help. Finally, we were able to move. What we didn't realize was how long we were actually frozen in the room. I got to our house just before sunset, which during summertime is usually around 7:30. By the time we were able to move and get to the door, it was now almost 10 p.m., and her sister stared at us, all confused, asking why we wouldn't answer the door. Why did we lock the door? We never locked the door. Clara asked her two sisters how long they had been standing there, to which they both replied, "We have been at your door, knocking and pounding on the door for over 45 minutes. We heard weird sounds like scratching and screeching, so we wanted to see what you guys were doing." I immediately called my mom and begged her to come pick me up and told her what I did. She got there fast. I didn't go back to her house for years. It still freaks me out to my core to this day. Sorry, I'm not the best writer. Laugh out loud. Hope you guys never ever play with the Ouija board. It's fucked up. My mom had to close the board for us, which is really scary. And my mom had to do all types of cleansing and shit to help me get rid of whatever was following me home. Never again have I ever touched another Ouija board, and never again will I. That's my story. Oh my God. So I messaged her back and I was like, are you still friends with this person? Like, how dare they ask a question like that when you specifically told them that you're uncomfortable with playing the board, you're already scared, and like they reassured you that they wouldn't ask anything stupid, and then goes out of their way to ask the stupidest fucking question. Like, I wouldn't talk to that person again, ever again. Like, there's no fucking way would I stay friends with that person. They don't respect you enough to understand that you're scared and don't want to play the board and you don't want to fuck with the board, and then they just did it anyway. Like, what a bad friend. I would not talk to them again. Like, absolutely no thank you. So thank you so much for sharing that story with me. That story is absolutely terrifying, and I don't fuck with Ouija boards literally for that reason. So I am the biggest chicken and I have no interest in messing with that kind of thing. So the next story I am going to read is another Instagram user. They messaged me a couple of days ago and they said, there's no title because it was over DMs, and they said, "This story is a long one, so please bear with me. Also, if possible, by any chance, if you do cover this on your channel, which is absolutely okay if you do or don't, could you please not read out my username? Thank you." So I'll keep you anonymous, no problem at all. So a bit of background to this story. I'm 16 years old and I'm from Dublin, Ireland. I grew up in a town that was known for violence and crime, and a lot of murder takes place in this town. It was Halloween last year, 2021, and me and 3 of my friends, Efe, Quiva, and Jake, decided we would try to play the Ouija board that we had bought a few weeks prior that night. Okay, so we're on a roll tonight with Ouija boards. We began our night around 5:30 p.m. It was already getting quite dark, and the streets were full of trick-or-treaters. We decided to break into the grounds of an old house that belonged to men who used to run the boys' school in our area. Ireland was and still can be a very strict Catholic country. These men weren't priests, but they were called brothers instead. These men were known for being P-word and were known to kidnap and SA young children a few decades ago. They all passed on, and now the house was burnt out by teenagers. The house sits on a good few acres of land and has high fences and a high wall. It sits facing opposite our local park, and that night we decided it would be best if we climbed the gates to the land instead of trying to climb the wall. At about 6 p.m., we entered the land and it was already dark. We sat down and just hung out for a while, watching the fireworks and listening to music. We decided at around 9 p.m. it was time to start our night. Efe took out the board from her school bag, which she had took with her to keep the board in, and also our snacks, as we would be staying there for a little while. I hesitated as we all put 2 fingers on the planchette and moved to hello. Almost immediately, it began to slowly move across the board to spell out hi. We all looked at each other in disbelief and slight horror. We decided to ask our first question. What's your name? We watched as the planchette moved slowly to the letter C-O-L-M. Comb? Jake said out loud, almost as a question of reassurance. We asked another question. How old are you? To which the planchette moved over again to the number 9. We continued with the questions for a little longer, and we discovered that Comb was a 9-year-old boy who was born in 1951, who was a victim to these men. As tears strolled down my cheeks in sadness and fear, another presence was ready to make itself known, and the planchette slowly, but faster than usual, moved up to hello. Hello, we all said out loud at once. What is your name? The planchette moved to S-O-F-I-E. The name rang a bell in my head, but I suppressed the thought as it was surely impossible. Then the planchette began to move again to spell out my name. I watched in horror, letter by letter, and it dawned on me. When I was a kid, maybe 8 or 9, I used to suffer from severe sleep paralysis, to which a young blonde girl would climb onto my bed and slowly but surely make her way up until she was right on top of me, staring into my eyes. No matter how much I would scream, no one could ever hear me. My mother sent me to counseling to try to help with the trauma I had sustained from these nightmares, as what she called them, but I knew they were much more than that. My house is a presence and not a good one. It likes to make itself known, but that's a story for another day. I asked, "Who are you?" Part of me was scared shitless, and the other half was about to throw up. We all watched in horror as the planchette moved letter by letter to spell out, "Don't you remember?" I began to get a severe headache, so we decided to just end it there. We said our goodbye and ended the game, and the next morning when I woke up, I had a large bruise just over my eyebrow where the headache had began. We all went to our local church and got ourselves blessed by the priest. He also gave us holy water and rosary beads to wear around our necks just to be safe. We got rid of that board, and as I'm writing this, my heart is pounding in fear. My sister just coughed in the next room, and I swear I almost shit myself in fright. A few strange things have happened since then, and we decided to have our house blessed by the local priest, which seemed to have worked so far. My message to anyone thinking to play the Ouija board, please do not fuck with that board. And that's how they ended the story. Oh my God, thank you so much for sharing that with me. That's absolutely terrifying. I don't mess with the boards literally for that reason, because they terrify me, and like you can form an attachment with something that like you don't know who you're actually talking to. And a lot of people that play with Ouija boards are looking to talk to like their past relatives, people that have passed on, and you don't know who you're talking to. Likely it's not your relative. So I'm sorry if you guys hear the cars. I know you guys say that you can't hear them, but they're being so fucking loud today, and it's like garbage day. So like the trucks are being absolutely insanely loud. So I'm assuming you guys will hear them in this video. Anyway, the next story I want to read is again from another Instagram user. Hey, I just started following your channel on YouTube, and I have a story for you. When I was a little boy, no older than 8, my family bought an old wartime house here in Ontario. The house was a sister house to one that was built deeper in town. Sister house, meaning it's a replica. These are the oldest houses in town, so a lot of events revolved around the one that was open to the public. The replica was used for haunted house tours during Halloween, so you can imagine how unfazed I was walking through this place. As my friends and I would walk through, I'd point out which room was mine, my sister's, and my parents'. My friends all thought it was insane that I lived in a replica with just as much history as the other house. One night, taking a tour with my friends, our guide told us we couldn't go into one room as it was under construction. That is around 9 p.m. So no work was going on, and I wanted to look inside. I waited for our guide to finish his talk about how scary it was and take the group to the next room. Once I was alone, I noticed the door to that room was slightly ajar. I reached for the handle to push the door open. The moment my fingers wrapped around the knob, it jerked out of my hand and the door slammed shut. I jumped back, and a few seconds later, the handle started rattling. This was my bedroom. I ran back to the group to finish the tour. The rest of the night was uneventful until I got home. I didn't tell anyone about what had happened on the tour, and I tried to put it out of my mind. After I got ready for bed and lay down in my room, I looked to see my door was slightly ajar. My mind went back to the tour. I decided to get up and close my door for the night. As I was a little nervous reaching for the handle, nothing happened. I thought nothing of it and went to bed. Moments later, the handle started rattling just like on the tour. I worked up the courage to open the door quickly, telling myself it must be my sister messing with me. I flung the door open and no one was there. I jumped back in bed and stayed still until I finally fell asleep. I have another story if you'd like, and I said, yeah, please send me any stories you have, but they haven't got back to me yet, so I will read their other story in another video, but that's all they said for this one. But that's terrifying and actually really cool. I don't know how I would feel about living in a haunted house, even if it was like a replica of a haunted house. That's just kind of like asking for bad vibes. So I personally wouldn't live there, but it's kind of cool that you do. So thank you so much for sharing. That's absolutely fucking terrifying. And No, thank you. I have another one to read, but it's a very, very long story. So that one's gonna be in a different video. So we're not gonna read that one today, but this one is just like a really, really short story. So we're just gonna jump into this one. Hi, I have a few somewhat creepy stories from what my mom told me yesterday. My mom and I talk on a regular and we tell each other everything. She told me she was taking a nap because she was so exhausted and that she dreamed of her deceased used-to-be friend and that she told my mother it was gonna be okay. That's not the creepy part. My mother describes to me what she looked like. A little backstory, she died of cancer and she had no legs. She then told me that her hair was all matted and she was wearing a white dress, but she had legs. And she got freaked out and woke up and heard something slightly slide its finger down her wall. And that's all she said. Oh my God. So she saw her deceased friend and her deceased friend was in a white gown, had matted hair, but she had legs. And then it whispered, everything's gonna be okay. And then she hears like, down her wall. No thanks, that's creepy. That's terrifying. People that visit you in your dreams is absolutely so fucking scary. Like, oh my God, that is absolutely terrifying. I don't know what I would do if that ever happened to me because that is absolutely fucking terrifying. Oh my God. I have one more story that I wanna read and it's another short one, but it will be the perfect length for this video. So there is one story in today's video that is a Let's Not Meet story, and it does have some really traumatizing events that happen in it. So I'll put timestamps in the comment section down below and just down below so you guys can skip past that video if you are triggered by anything. I'm just giving you guys a trigger warning. It does mention R word, it does mention SA, just anything like that that triggers you. I'm gonna put timestamps so you guys can obviously skip past that story, but somebody did send it to me and they did want me to read it and share with you guys and me because they feel comfortable enough to share their story now. So I did just wanna put a little disclaimer in here that there is the one story that mentions that, and if you're triggered, here's a trigger warning and to just skip past that story. This is my story from almost 16 years ago. I was a carefree 21-year-old sophomore in college at the time. One Saturday night in 2006, the weekend before Thanksgiving, I went to a friend's house party. When I arrived, I had no idea this night would change the course of my life forever. I made my way through the people and found my friends. The music was loud and everyone was drinking, dancing, and having a great time. There was a guy with my friends who I had never seen before. I was introduced to him and automatically felt an uneasy feeling about him. I chalked it up to me being paranoid because I had never seen him around before. This was a pretty small college town, so it was kind of strange for someone to be there I didn't know. I shoved my feelings down and just went on with the night. I was having a blast drinking and dancing with my friends. After some time, I went to use the bathroom. Once I was done, I went to open the door and felt someone on the other side trying to push to come in. I shouted over the music, I was in there. I figured it was someone who didn't realize that I was. He then shoved the door open so hard it knocked me back. I looked at the person before me and it was the same guy from earlier. The look in his eyes terrified me to my core. I tried to get past him, but he was much bigger and stronger than I was. I continued to struggle until I felt the cold blade of a knife against my neck. My blood ran cold as he whispered in my ear to shut the fuck up or he would kill me. He then forced me onto the cold tile of the bathroom floor and I just cried and begged him not to do what I knew he had planned for me. My cries were in vain as then he beat me up and R-worded me right there in the bathroom as my friends were just outside the bathroom unable to hear. When he was done, he told me he would kill me if I told anyone. I believed him. He then left me beaten, bleeding, and broken on the bathroom floor and walked out. I never did report this or tell my friends. I just tried to get on with my life and hoped he would never meet again. I went down a self-destructive path for 3 months until I found out I was pregnant. I was beyond devastated, but kept my baby. I moved to another state and hoped he would never find me. That baby is now 15 and my angel, but to the man who R-worded me in the bathroom, let's not meet again. So I said, that's absolutely horrible. I'm so fucking sorry that happened to you. Holy crap, that's terrifying. And she said, oh girl, there's so much more to it, but I was trying to make it easy to follow as possible. Thank you. I've honestly, just in the last 5 years or so, been comfortable enough to start telling people. This is my first time I'm putting my story out there like this. Thank you so much. He really is the sweetest. I've been with a wonderful man for the last 8 years who has been so patient and supportive through it all. He's adopted my 15-year-old, and we also now have a 2-year-old as well. Here are my 2 babies. And she sent me a photo of them, and oh my God, I'm glad it had like a happier ending, that you're doing well now and you now have a really supportive spouse and you now have another baby. Like, that's amazing. But I'm so sorry that that happened to you. She messaged me again today and said that we were talking on YouTube and she has another story that she wants to send me. And this is where the whole email debacle happened. And she was trying to send me her story, but it wasn't coming through in my email. So for whatever reason, sometimes when you guys send me emails over my email, the messages don't come through. So I might have to change my email. I might have to look into like maybe using my personal email or making a new email, because it's just like not working. I don't know why. So if you guys ever do send me an email with a story and I haven't gotten back to you or I haven't replied, because I'm pretty fast at replying, please message me over Instagram or send me a comment down below in any of my videos and I'll definitely look for it. Or I will send you my personal email just so that I can get the story. For whatever reason, my business email is being kind of buggy lately. So she has another story that she wants to share with me, but I unfortunately don't have it yet. So once I have it, I will come back on here and read it. So I'm obviously gonna put trigger warnings in front of the videos that have mentions of SA, R word, anything like that. But I wanted to share her story because she wanted to share it with you guys, and I'm glad that she's okay now, but that's absolutely terrifying and I wish that never ever happened to anyone, and unfortunately it does, and I'm just glad that she's okay now. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below for more content like this, and I will see you guys at the next video. Bye. Really? Cool. Any more want to go by? Want to have a whole fucking parade? Are you fucking serious? Do you have to have such a loud car? Like, it's not even cool to have a loud vehicle. Not even kind of. Sound like a fucking idiot. Like, fuck.